So I think that we can all agree that the most disappointing team in the NBA so far is the Los Angeles Lakers by a long shot. As of recording, though this video might come out a little bit later, the Lakers are currently 21-22 and are on a 3-game losing streak. The Lakers were looking like the team to beat in the West when they acquired Russell Westbrook in the offseason, absolutely dominating in free agency, but obviously they have been madly disappointing. So after looking into this Lakers team, I found a few of their main problems as to why they've been underperforming, and I also found the solution. And I do not think it is fully hopeless for the Lakers. So in today's video, I will go over their team, their problems, and the main solution to those problems. And let's just say it has something to do with Russell Westbrook, so stay tuned. As always, the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at this Lakers team statistic-wise. They're ranked 5th in offense, averaging 111 points a game. Though that may sound good, they're averaging 90 shots per game. And when you compare that to the Utah Jazz, the team that averages the most points per game, they only average 86 shots per game. The Lakers are 6th in the league in shots per game, while the Jazz are ranked 21st. So you can see the Lakers are shooting a lot of shots. One of the Lakers' biggest problems, which I will get into more later, is their defense. As of now, they allow 110 points per game, which is 20th in the league. As I said, I will get into their defensive problems later. They're 8th in steals and 7th in blocks, and they are 11th in the league in field goal percentage, shooting about 53% from the field. And finally, they are 6th in the league in rebounds, averaging about 54 boards a night. Before I get into the player stats, I want to talk about a little bit of the Lakers' brief history. When you look at the Lakers, they have a very interesting backstory with free agency and blockbuster trades, and I really don't want to go too in depth about it, or else this video will be a bit too long. So I'm just going to briefly explain their offseason. Coming into the 2021 offseason, the Lakers have just had a very disappointing season, getting eliminated in the first round by the Phoenix Suns. With LeBron entering his last few productive seasons, they wanted to blow up the team once again and give LeBron a real chance to get ring number 5. They traded pretty much all of their depth in shooting for Russell Westbrook, along with signing a lot of great role players in free agency, such as Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza, Malik Monk, Kendrick Nunn, and the list goes on and on and on. So coming into this season, me, along with many other people, expected the Lakers to be a top 3 team in the West. Obviously, they are nowhere near the top 3 seed in the West, and at this point, they're just trying to stay out of the play-in tournament. Overall, the Lakers have been very disappointing, and I don't think a single soul expected them to be this bad, whether you're a Lakers hater or not. Now it is time to go over the Lakers' notable players, and I'm just going to review their stats. Let's start it off with LeBron. Though the Lakers have been disappointing, LeBron has still managed to be in the MVP conversation, putting up amazing numbers, 29 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists, shooting a great 52% from the field. There isn't really much to say about LeBron because he's so good at everything and he can just do it all, from being an amazing rebounder to being a facilitator for the team, and overall, LeBron is absolutely dominating the season, and I think for me, he's back up there as a top 5-6 player. Anthony Davis is now up. Davis is putting up 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists, while averaging a steal and 2 blocks, shooting 52% from the field. That may sound amazing, but Anthony Davis is not as good as these stats show. He is shooting a terrible 18% from 3 on 2 attempts per game, and is averaging 2.2 turnovers a game, which is a career high for him. On top of it, he has only played 27 games this season. While he may still be an elite defender and can still do a lot on offense, I would go as far as to say that Anthony Davis is having one of the worst seasons of his career. And now, ending the quote-unquote big 3, because I don't think this is a big 3, we have Russell Westbrook. Russ is putting up 19 points, which is the lowest for him since his sophomore year, along with 8 rebounds and 8 assists, with 1 steal as well. Statistically, Russ is definitely having a down year, but when you look at more stats, it gets much worse. He's averaging 4 turnovers a game, shooting 44% from the field on 16 shots a night, and is shooting 29% from 3. Russ has still been a great playmaker and rebounder for this team, but he is an ineffective scorer and hasn't been as energetic and explosive as usual. His impact isn't hitting like it used to with the Thunder, and I think that he is shooting too much and lacks spacing, and overall isn't a good fit for the Lakers. And some other notable players are Carmelo Anthony, DeAndre Jordan, Dwight Howard, Malik Monk, who's been on a tear recently, Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington, and Talen Horton-Tucker. Also, we can't forget about Frank Vogel. I am hearing a lot of news. I don't know if it's just trolls or there actually real talk, that Frank Vogel's job is in jeopardy. Personally, I don't think it's his problem. A little bit has to do with him, which I'll get into later, but overall, I think he's still an average coach, and he isn't as bad as social media is making it out to be. But I do think he is a little bit of the problem, which like I said, I'll get into later. So now I am going to go into the 5 problems that I've noticed from the Los Angeles Lakers, along with my 2 solutions. Problem number 1, too much ball watching. When the Lakers are on offense, always one of the stars has the ball, whether it's Russ, LeBron, or AD. They're always starting the play, they're always ending the play. I don't think they're getting other role players involved as much as they should. There's a lot of ball watching from the role players, and overall, I just don't think they're playing like a team, and there isn't enough movement for me, which is making them have a very unproductive offense. Problem number 2 is the Los Angeles Lakers are very lazy on defense. When you watch them play on defense, they already struggle with perimeter defenders and one-on-one defenders on paper. Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, all those guys are great defenders, but they really can't guard the perimeter and they can't really guard one-on-one. And also, when you watch the Lakers play against any other team, they are really slow and they're always late, very lazy. Look, they look effortless. Obviously, they're trying. But when you see a team like, let's say the Phoenix Suns, for example, you see the Phoenix Suns always moving the ball around, and the Lakers are always just a step behind. They're always making the extra passes, making another player open, and the Lakers they aren't rotating as fast, they aren't switching as fast, and it leads to easy shots for the defense. Okay, this is me in the future. I don't know why I just said it leads to easy shots for the defense. I meant to say offense. Anyways, it's a really huge problem, and I think I might go as far to say that this is the Lakers' biggest problem. Reason number 3 is that the Lakers have a terrible chemistry. When you look at the Lakers team, ever since LeBron has arrived, they've always been changing up the team. One year they traded all their young core for Anthony Davis, then they got guys like Schroeder, Harrell, and they blew up the team. And now, once again, for the 3rd year in a row, they blew up their team once again. So while every year the Lakers are making adjustments and they always look so good on paper, at the end of the day, it's always a new team. And this season, you could tell there's not a lot of chemistry, and I just don't think there's enough to be a very good team. Reason number 4 is that the Lakers are always unhealthy. It's pretty self-explanatory. Kendrick Nunn, I believe he hasn't played a game this season, while Anthony Davis is always injured, and even LeBron has missed his fair share of games. And while yes, this is an uncontrollable problem, the Lakers can't really control who stays healthy and who gets injured, but it's no excuse as to why they're playing this bad, because we see teams like the Miami Heat, and we see teams like that who are always unhealthy, but they always have that next man up mentality, and they always still play great. The role players always step up. But for the Lakers, they don't have that next man up mentality. They're always about just hoping their stars can carry the team. And when the stars are out, they don't have a guy who can step up, maybe other than Malik Monk. So overall, very unhealthy. And like I said, it's not really their choice that everybody's injured. But I just think they could be handling this better. And reason number 5 is terrible ball protection. You know what this means. Lots of players, from individual players to the whole team, is always turning the ball over, making bad passes, taking bad shots, and overall, they just don't know how to protect the ball. They're averaging 15 turnovers per game, which is 5th in the league, which isn't good. You don't want to be high in this statistic, by the way. And you know your team doesn't know how to protect the ball when your starting point guard is averaging 4 turnovers per game. So those are their main 5 problems that I've noticed. Too much ball watching, very lazy on defense, bad chemistry, always unhealthy, terrible ball protection. Now, some of it has to do with them, some of it is uncontrollable, but at the end of the day, these are all the factors that is making the Lakers worse than expected. So now it is time for my 2 solutions that I've noticed. Going right into it, the first solution that I think the Lakers should do is Frank Vogel really needs to make adjustments for this team. This isn't the team that knows how to shoot, play like a team like it was last season. This is a brand new team with not a lot of spacing, not a lot of chemistry, and a lot of ball watchers that just aren't very productive on the court. So I think Frank Vogel has to put in a system that gets everybody touches, everyone gets the same amount of touches, doesn't matter if you're a star or not, everybody gets touches, everyone's involved in the play, and I think this would make the Lakers a lot better because over time, chemistry would also develop with that. It's a very effective way to play basketball, and it would take a load off the stars. And now the reason everyone has been waiting for, the one involving Russell Westbrook. I'm just going to say it, they have to bench Russell Westbrook. Now, disclaimer, I know they're not going to bench Russell Westbrook because, yada, yada, yada. But I think it would benefit the team if they did bench Russell Westbrook. Here's what I'm going to do. I am just going to briefly talk about what Russell Westbrook brings to this team in the starting lineup, and then I'm going to talk about what he would bring off the bench. Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup, obviously, he's not a terrible player. He's great. He's an amazing facilitator, amazing rebounder, still kind of knows how to run an offense. But there is just way too many problems, in my opinion, with Russ in the starting lineup. For starters, he takes the shots away from LeBron and Anthony Davis. We saw how good LeBron and AD were last season, the season before. And now with Russell Westbrook, on paper it may be good, but he's actually in reality taking shots away from LeBron and Anthony Davis, and he isn't hitting them. He's shooting very inefficient. And lastly is spacing. Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup does not provide spacing, and it just doesn't help when LeBron and Anthony Davis have the ball. You know you can't pass to him out on the wing because he's not hitting the shot. So now let's talk about what would happen if he moved to the bench. Throughout Russ's career, he's kind of always been the guy where he's taking a lot of the shots. Other than the Kevin Durant season where he was playing with Kevin Durant, he has always been the number one option. I would even argue he's the number one option when Paul George was on the team. He's used to having an offense run around him, setting screens for him, and overall he's used to taking a lot of shots. And it didn't really matter if he had bad shots because he could have went and made another shot the very next play. But now on the Lakers, it's a little bit different because you can't just go shoot up random shots every possession because you have LeBron and Anthony Davis who you also have to share the ball to. So moving Russell Westbrook to the bench would kind of give him like his own new team. He doesn't have to play with LeBron and Anthony Davis, so he would be able to take more shots, and he would also run the bench and make the bench overall just a little bit better. It's a win-win because Russ gets to shoot more, and LeBron and Anthony Davis get to go back to their old selves, taking majority of the shots, and they can go back to playing effective basketball. And finally, moving Russell Westbrook to the bench would not be terrible because the new player in the starting lineup, whether it be like a Malik Monk or Kendrick Nunn when he returns, it would provide more floor spacing, which is a huge problem for the Los Angeles Lakers. So yeah, though that may not fix everything because they will still have some problems, that won't fix chemistry, that won't fix health, I think it will benefit the Lakers in some aspects and make them better than they are now. So that's going to wrap up my video on my analysis of the Los Angeles Lakers. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.